Hey, what's going on, everybody? Scott Newby here with Bass Brings Us Together, Friday Night AV, Living It with Scott Cat podcast. Thanks for joining me this morning. I wanted to make a quick video regarding a post that I made that got like thousands of notifications of interactions of liking, disliking, laughing, asking questions, excitement, concern, just all kinds of crazy stuff. So it's easier to make a few-minute video and then I can just tag this video in anybody that's asking. So you're sitting in my room, the Scott Newby Experience, the Bass Brings Us Together demo room. So in this room, I was for years shooting for 150 dB experience at the headrest of the seats. I use meters like Term Lab, SPL Lab, and we finally reached that goal by stuffing a bunch of subwoofers in this room. At no point though did I want to discredit the Dolby Atmos experience. So all the surround channels, back surrounds, in ceilings, front, left, and right, all those speakers are in the locations that they're supposed to be in. At no point do I ever want to degrade the Dolby Atmos movie experience, because that's what the theater's main purpose is for, is creating an awesome theater experience. Having an extra bass is super cool, and for that 1% of the time I want to go nuts, or I got some buddies over and we want to go nuts, that I have those capabilities. So I just want to address some of the main questions that I've seen when I talk about 150 dB, 160 dB in a room, because I do, believe me, I understand that it sounds crazy. Some people think that I'm absolutely out of my mind, or that I may have a mental condition, or and then the other half of the group thinks that it's awesome. They want to come by and check it out. I'm very passionate about this hobby obviously. But I just wanted to kind of share my thoughts, answer some of the questions. It's so much easier doing this than responding to 400 or 500 or 600 actual comments. So first thing that I want to go with is, I understand that it's not for everybody. I mean, I honestly do. People literally treat our room like an experience, like they're going to Disneyland or something. Guys or husband and wives are like, hey, we're going to fly out for a weekend or fly out for a day, come to one of your events. I'm going to take some time off of work, just hanging out with like-minded enthusiasts, enjoy some extreme stuff. But I have no interest in spending that money or designing a room to do that, let alone most of the guys' wives won't let them do that, unfortunately. So I do understand that this is certainly a one-off, one-of-a-kind thing. Not trying to persuade people into that this is a good idea, just really over the years been taking people with me on my journey. Some people really get into this just like I do, so it's fun to share those moments, those accomplishments, or even the times like, man, I missed that goal, or something's messed up in my calibration, and it takes me days or weeks to even get stuff figured out exactly, because obviously a lot of planning goes into this, a ton of calibration on my end goes into this, to be able to create an experience that not only is amazing during movies, but then you can easily push in the high SPL range. And that's where calibration is key, and it has to be perfect, because there's a lot of people like, well, that's too loud. Everything's got to sound like garbage. It's not balanced. I can promise you that it is. I mean, unless you come over here, I probably won't convince you otherwise. There's multiple videos on this room from Youthman, and new ones dropping from Haterade Cowboys sometime soon, because he just came out, and there's reaction videos, people talking about it, because it's a general consensus, because right now there's 18s in this room off of about 60,000 watts, and people just don't believe that that can be a controlled environment for reproducing music. I mean, obviously there's a volume control and everything. You just turn up as loud as you want to go. And then also it's all in calibration, making every single speaker, not just even every subwoofer, but every subwoofer, every speaker, all working together. And there's calibration charts and graphs that I try to show to people that are curious about it, that literally everything is working together in this room. And it has to, or I wouldn't even be able to get close to the results that I'm getting currently. So I just want to share that with you guys. There's people, there's subs literally lined up all along this back row on the sides of the room, and I'll show you guys all that in the front of the room. So right now in this room is 18 18s, each one seeing 3,000 watts. So the sub comes as a complete package from JTR, the Captivator 6000, more commonly known as the 4000, which that's a 120 volt version. I pay for the upgraded amp to get the 6,000 watt version, but you do have to run 240 volt. There's 10 runs of 240 volt coming into this theater, which is a smallish theater, 14 by 16 roughly. The room's got a little bit of a funny layout, and then about 7.5 foot ceilings. So there's plenty of power coming into the room to power all these subwoofers and all the amplifiers for the other speakers. So that's, people are curious that, hey, maybe you need better subs or you need better amps in the subs. Well, they come as a complete kit, and these subs have been optimized over the years, but for years, the captivators have been tested by, well, there's a third party company, if you're not aware of, called Database, that literally years ago drug all the biggest subwoofers out into the middle of a field. Every big sub that was well known that they could get their hands on, 15s, 18s, 21s. I think they even had some 24s out there. And anything commercial, even a lot of DIY big builds. And the Captivator was the reigning champ for years, and I'm not even aware of one that's beating it now, for the most subsonic output, 10 hertz. They measured it all at different frequencies, but I was mostly interested in most clean output at the lowest frequency because I built multiple theaters over the years, and I just wanted to have a theater that had insane amounts of subsonic. He's down into the single digits. So the Captivator, was king of the hill, and that's why I auditioned plenty of subwoofers, drove 10 miles in each direction, have flown, have driven, have taken weekends off, and going to check out everything before I built the current state of this room. And I just wanted to make sure that I was getting what I thought was the best for what experience I was building. So these subwoofers are very well known for creating a ton of low frequency output at very little distortion. The amps that come in them, Speaker Power 6,000 watt amps. If you're not aware, Speaker Power is about one of the best amplifier companies that you can buy. They come preloaded in the cabinets. So JTR is very well known for using, very good drivers with extremely good amplifiers. And there's been third-party tests on Speaker Power outside of what's used in the JTR, just of sustaining RMS output and making the output that they're claiming, so they're not fluffed numbers. And they're one of the only speaker amplifier manufacturers that can hold their rated power at 5 hertz. So create a 10 hertz tune cabinet, all Baltic birch. They're solid as a rock. Even though they're Baltic birch cabinet, they're still around 275 pounds a cabinet. So obviously the drivers are very heavy, obviously extremely heavy duty, huge X-Max, low distortion, great power amplifiers. So I in my room, you see them in different configurations, but they're all still the same box tune, the same net, internal volume, the same amplifiers, the same drivers. So they all perform exactly identically the same. So back into the calibration where people like, these subs are right on your head. There's no way you can hear anything else of any of your other speakers, let alone your other subwoofers. Well, there is so in the calibration process for you guys that aren't familiar with it, when we tune and phase align and time align the subwoofers, we use microphones and software, graph everything out, and then all these subs are time aligned to where it hits this main row of seats all identically at the same time. So obviously the subs that are closest to us, they get a big time alignment, as in a delay. So by the time that the front subwoofers hit you, the rear ones hit you at the same exact time, and that's all done within the software and all modeled and all. I'm moving microphones, I'm making adjustments, making EQ adjustments, making time alignment adjustments, and as you work through that whole process, you see everything really come together, and your SPL is rising and rising and rising the more that everything gets working together. So I just want to explain that because I get a lot of questions about that. So what are my plans to go from the 156 to 160? And before I go any further, people are like, oh, you should use a term lab. Those SPL lab meters aren't very good, or they're known at times to be inaccurate. because we've hosted close to 500 people here. The SPL Lab meter is great for showing a readout when you got guys in the room and they're like, what are we experiencing? Is this 140 or 147 or 142 or 151 or 155 or whatever it may be? Is like, once again, this is an experience room that Kat and I have pretty much built. So it's easy in large groups of people. The only downside to that is obviously it's not a term lab. Now I have the version 1 and the version 2, which I've measured against my buddy's term lab. The version 1 is within about a dB at most frequencies. The version 2 is actually within about 0.6. I think the biggest variance we caught on the version 2 was 0.6. And we keep the meter just right behind the headrest. That way, we used to set it right in front on a tripod, but when you got guys coming in and out of the room, sitting down, plus it takes up a seat, it was just better for us to move it right behind the head. It reads just a tad bit lower, but it's still, when people are coming over, they're coming over to experience more than just a crazy high output. They want the Atmos experience, with the big screen and all the other speakers and stuff like that. But they can have the meter pretty much right by their head and they can see what they're experiencing. So when I do an official run for me to post like a new number, a new readout, then I have my buddy bring his term lab over, and I might end up just buying one because it will go down to 10 hertz where the SPL labs only go down to 20 hertz. So my plans to try to make this jump from 156.1 to 160 is, I'm in a basement, so 3 of these walls are concrete. The front wall, which you guys can't see that the projector screen is on, that's a double drywalled staggered stud wall filled with safe and sound insulation. At the time of building this room, I didn't believe that I was going to be going for the current output that I am now. So I believe, and then the ceiling's kind of this like crappy acoustic tile stuff that I've lost huge parts, and it's been like glued back up, screwed back up. So there's room for improvement there. I switched to a solid core door. I'm going to do an all Baltic birch ceiling, probably 2 layers of Baltic birch green glue screwed, to the floor joists from up above. The front wall, I'm going to do a double layer of Baltic birch also, and really just tighten this room up. And then because the last 2 subs I added didn't really add a ton of output in the room, but I really gained a lot of output in the living room above. So the room can only handle so much sound pressure. So I'm thinking if I keep that pressure in the room, that's automatically going to raise my dB. Now, I don't know, is that a half a dB? Is that 2 dB? I honestly don't know. So I think that between, like I said, the other walls are concrete, double Baltic birch ceiling, double Baltic birch on the 4th wall, that between that and adding one more subwoofer, which will be another dual 18, 6,000 watts, that between those 2 things that I should be able to help close that gap. Will it hit a 160? I don't know. I mean, that's very hopeful thinking. In my mind, I'm thinking minimum 157, possible 158s. Don't know. Closing and tightening the room up, I think, is going to be the huge factor in this. And then obviously adding the other sub will certainly help that out as well. For the people that are like, dude, you could get to a 150 or 160 easier, huge PA subs. Yeah, that's cool. If that's your goal, that's awesome. I've never claimed myself to be the loudest stereo. For people get that confused. Me and my friends have claimed this to be the loudest Dolby Atmos experience. Just because it is a full Dolby Atmos setup. I found louder stereos that go past 156. Like some crazy guys with huge speakers that built like their basement into just one big speaker, and they sit on like a folding chair in there. And I'm not talking down. I think that would be super cool to experience. Obviously, I'm into crazy experiences. But still, this just keeps in mind that I want this to remain a great movie experience, not just a super loud experience. I'm trying to have both. I'm finding that to be difficult because to have a crazy subsonic, chasing these low numbers like 10 hertz, like 20 hertz and down pretty much, that really, really takes a ton of drivers, a lot of power, great placement, perfect calibration. So that's why I responded to some of those people, like the PA or the horn subwoofers just aren't what I'm going for in this experience. If somebody's chasing that, then I mean that's absolutely awesome. I support all that. All of us in this hobby kind of have our own thing of what we're trying to achieve. I was just sharing people with mine. So I'm trying to get to the 160 without ruining the experience, keeping the same 10 hertz tune, having great single digit in-room experience, and just having that power to absolutely be devastating and scary. A lot of people find now in a movie playback at extreme SPL levels that it makes them nauseous or sick. I think a lot of people are used to like 30 and 40 hertz in those, you know, higher SPL readings, but getting down to like 20 hertz and dipping below that, it certainly is a different sensation. I'm a big car guy, and some of my buddies have insane 160 dB plus, and some of those guys are in like the mid 20s and some are in the 30s, and I absolutely love it. And some people think that that's crazy and stupid. So if you're hanging out and watching this video this long, you must at least find it somewhat interesting. So I'm going to show you around the room just real quick about exactly what's going on. So that's my plans. Baltic birch everywhere, moving up to 2018s, 3,000 watts times 20. All the other speakers, you know, staying where they're at. I'm going to just show you guys around real quick for you guys that aren't familiar. So obviously this is one of the JTR Captivator 6000s, and they're all over the room, and I had to multi-purpose them. Obviously they're being used as stands for like surround channels, even surround back channels. Everything's tuned for these two seats. That's why the room's set up the way it is, but the whole back room is lined up with them. And then even on the other side for the other surround. So this is a 14 by 16 foot room, like I said. And then this is the front. You can see at the bottom, that's 4 more 18s. So with the 210s, and then the Seymour screen has, and then that's an acoustic screen with another speaker behind that. So I know, guys, you have a lot of questions, a lot of concerns. And I get it. People ask about the projector, so that's on a Chief mount with an isolation bracket. Obviously, I sturdied up the ceiling a lot with that. So if you guys have any questions or comments, or you want to experience this, we hold events often. So if you want to come check it out, and we also do the 2-channel setup upstairs with the RTJs. So this is basically me just kind of covering everything. So I understand that people are like, oh, those are car numbers. People are not doing that in a house. We gotta realize there's 3 walls that are concrete, double drywalled wall. There's near field subwoofers practically everywhere, shooting into your body, shooting into your head. And then a lot of it's just in calibration. Smaller space. This room was purposely built to be an extreme SPL room. I wanted to build a room just big enough to fit 4 people, properly place all the Atmos speakers, have a great experience, but not go too big to where I'm losing SPL. So this right now is 5 years in the making. This didn't happen overnight. This isn't just, hey, some guy just threw a bunch of crap in a room. No, this has been strategically and mapped out. So, all right, guys, I said a few minutes. We're pushing like 19 minutes. I get the run in my mouth. So thanks for hanging out. I hope you guys enjoy the video. I'm dropping more stuff. I've dropped stuff as often as I can. So if you like it, you know, like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. So, all right, guys, we'll see you later. And keep an eye out for the next video. Peace out.